Hi boys and girls, this is Mrs. Hara here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about commas. Our skill we're working on for grammar this week is using commas, and this is somewhat of a review. We've done commas before. We use commas to separate words in a series. So in this example, you see there is a series of things that's listed, and there is a comma between each. So the four seasons are spring, comma, summer, comma, fall, comma, and winter. So we need to make sure that we use a comma between a list of things, and we call that a series. Another place that we need to use commas is when we join two sentences. It was late at night, comma, and I couldn't sleep. So instead of two sentences being it was late at night, I couldn't sleep, we use a comma and a conjunction to combine these two sentences and just use a comma instead. After the greeting and closing of a letter. So when we write a letter, we have the greeting. We do the greeting like Dear Todd. We need to make sure there's a comma. And at the closing of a letter, love, comma, Amy. So after the greeting, in the closing of your friendly letter. And we also need to use commas between the city and state in an address. So here's the city, Austin, and we need to put a comma before the state. We also need to use a comma when we are writing the date. So to separate the month and day from the year. So we have March 26th, comma, then the year. Okay, you're going to need this page right here. It is in your packet, and I believe it is page 420. Yes, 422. So you can look that up in your packet, your yellow Reading Street packet. So we need to use a comma, and we can use a comma and a conjunction to join two sentences. So here's the example. There was a crumb on the table, comma, and there's the conjunction, the ant crawled toward it. You can also use commas to separate words in a series. We just talked about series. So here is the example. We had sandwiches, cookies, and fruit at the picnic. So the series is sandwiches, cookies, fruit. We have commas in between those. We use a comma after the greeting and the closing of a friendly letter. Again, dear Jake, comma, your friend, comma. We also need to use commas between the name of a city and a state. So Chicago, comma, Chico, comma, California. Berea, comma, Kentucky. And we also need to use the comma to separate the month and day from the year. So July 21st, comma, 2006. All right, so you can work along this page with me. We can go over this together. The directions say to write C if commas are used correctly in the sentence. Write NC if commas are not used correctly. So sentence number 1 says, some kinds of ants are army ants, honey ants, and dairying ants. So you see there's commas, and this is a series because we're listing several things. Do you think the commas here are correct? I think so. So we're going to put a C for correct. And now let's look at sentence number 2. Army ants travel in lines and they hunt other insects. So this is actually a combined sentence. So we have two sentences combined into one. And whenever we do that, we do need to use a conjunction. The conjunction used here is and, but there is no comma here. We need a comma before the conjunction. So this would be an NC, not correct. And the comma should actually be before the and. So that should actually be right here. But we do need to make sure there's a comma in that sentence. And number 3, dear Amy. There's no comma anywhere here. Do we need a comma when we write a letter in our intro, in our the beginning of our letter? Yes, we do. So that would be an NC, and this is where the comma should go. All right, so the next set says, directions say, write each sentence, add commas where they are needed. So this one says, some ants eat other insects, but many do not. So this is combined sentence, and we have a conjunction here. So we need to have it read, some ants eat other insects, comma, but many do not. So we just need a comma here after the word insects. And number 5, the newspaper had an article about ants on November 14th, 2005. And we have a date here, but there's no commas. And we need to make sure that there is a comma after the month and day before the year. So when we write this, we should have the comma here. And that is all we needed to do for this worksheet today. I hope you're having a wonderful week and good luck on all of your lessons.